Today, we're talking about one, taking your time back, because if you take your time back and you crank out content that turns into clients, you don't spend a lot of time lollygagging, do you? Right? So we're talking about turning your content into clients. And so there are three things by the end of this live I want you to understand. The difference between posting and planning. Random posting and strategic planning when it comes to your content. That's number one. The second thing I want you to walk away with is why your content isn't converting. You may recognize yourself in some of the scenarios I present. And then finally, I want you to build a simple content plan that connects every post to your business goals, okay? Because that's super important. That's something we don't often talk about. We talk about cranking out content, but we don't actually talk about why we're posting content in the first place, do we? Oftentimes, we don't actually talk about why we're doing the things that we do. Okay, so I want to address the elephant in the room. Let me just check to make sure. Yep, I want to address the elephant in the room. You're showing up, right? You're posting. You're putting in effort, but you're not seeing the results that you're looking for. You're not seeing the clients come in. So why aren't your clients coming from your content? Do you have any ideas why? If you have ideas, definitely drop them in the chat and let me know, why do you think your clients aren't coming in from your content? Because I have a couple of ideas about that. One, I see all the time you have a great offer, but your content is not necessarily connected to your offer. There's a glaring disconnect with your content and the products and or services that you offer. Or another thing I see is you're creating content that you think people want to see, not actually what your audience needs to hear, but you think they want to see. Now, this could manifest in the form of very cute content, very formal content that uses jargon. It's not the language that your audience speaks. It's not what's top of mind. It doesn't address what they think they need right now. And then finally, the biggest glaring thing I see is that there's no real purpose or intention behind your content. You know, you wake up and you know you got to post content. Oftentimes when we are in emergency mode or fast acting mode, our content is not going to resonate because we're literally just throwing that spaghetti at the wall, hoping it sticks. And so that's a lot of times I see why your content is not creating the clients, the leads that you're looking for. Okay, so how might this look? You know, I worked with, let me see, I'll give you an example. I worked with a graphic designer, right? Graphic designer. And she kept creating reels because she thought she had to stay visible. That was her way to stay visible, right? But she didn't have an end goal. So she just created a bunch of random content, right? And so what happened, every post was like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that spaghetti was going to stick. We all know that is not the way we should be looking at our business and our content. So she worked with me. We had a strategic VIP day in terms of our marketing content. We looked at her business goals, right? I did an audit of her reels, looked at her business goals, and I realized there was a disconnect. On top of that, her slow season was coming. So instead of just throwing spaghetti at the wall, we decided to build content around offering design audits as a special because her slow season was coming. And so all of the content was designed around her selling design audits to solopreneurs. So what happens? What do you think happened? Well, we figured out her goals and we switched the content, the tone, and the language. Guess what happened? She filled her calendar. It can really be that simple. It's just a matter of figuring out what you're supposed to be doing in the first place, right? So that's just a quick example, because visibility with no direction, guess what happens? It does not convert. You need to have direction, goals, purpose, intention with your content in order for that content to land. Otherwise, you're going to just kind of be stuck in a content hamster wheel. And that's where strategic planning comes in. Okay. That's where strategic planning comes in. And so I want you to understand, if your content doesn't have a goal behind it, you'll always feel like you're being busy and not getting anywhere. And that's the difference, my friend, between posting and planning. That is the difference. The goal behind your content is what sits in the middle of posting and planning. One keeps you visible, one keeps you profitable. Okay, so let's break it down. I want to break down posting versus planning, right? I want to break down posting versus planning real quick. Posting is what most solopreneurs do. Basically winging it. You open, wherever you're watching this, let's use LinkedIn. You might open LinkedIn, go on your phone, you open the app, and you're like, what should I post today? Let me find a quote. I'm looking at my phone. Now. Let me find a quote. Let me find a photo that's in my, that's in my gallery. Okay, I'm going to find a quick motivational quote. And I'm going to add some trending audio. And boom, I've posted something on LinkedIn. That's cool. I posted. That's activity. That is not strategy. That is simply activity. Okay, there is a difference. Okay, so planning, on the other hand, I'm going to put the phone down. Why? Because I'm going to open up a doc or a notebook or something, because planning starts with my business goals. So what are the business goals I need to be addressing as a business owner in order to figure out what content to post? The main one is, what do I want to sell? We'll use 90-day increments because that's been my jam for the last few weeks. We're doing 90-day goals, 90-day sprints, 90-day quarters, whatever you want to call it. We're doing a 90-day plan. What do I need to sell this quarter in the next 90 days? Start with what you need to sell and reverse engineer your content. That's the difference, okay? Who am I talking to sell the thing that I'm going to sell? Who am I supposed to be talking to? Who's my target audience for this particular thing I want to sell? What are the objections they have today, right now? What's floating in the back of their mind about why they won't buy this product or why they won't buy this service? And I'm going to give you a hint. It ain't the price. It's not the price. There are other objections that they have about buying the product and or service you have. Price may be a factor, but it's not just price, okay? And then finally, how can your content, this is the key, how can your content guide your desired client or customer from where they are today to making the buy, hitting the buy button, making that purchase decision? Those are the things you need to be thinking about when you are planning your content, okay? You need to find focus. That's how you figured it out. So if you've been posting and praying in that post and pray phase and that throwing spaghetti at the wall phase, it's okay. No shame, totally okay. Most solopreneurs actually start there. And the key is that you will not realize that posting will not build your business. Posting alone is not marketing. It's not strategy. Planning the content and figuring those specific pieces out is what's going to build your business, okay? So you don't need to create more content. You don't need more content. What do you need? What do you think you need? Based on what I'm talking about today. You need intention. Write that down. You need to create more intention with the content that you are creating, okay? And so with that said, hello, friends. See my friend tuning in. Hey, Stan. So I want to talk about building your content to client framework. That's what you came here for, right? Content to client framework, okay? And what that is it's a 5-part framework that focuses on the intention, okay? The intention behind what you're doing, because there are different phases and stages along the customer journey that you have to address in order for someone to become a client or a customer. That's what we need to address. What is the content to client framework that you need to ultimately keep in mind every time you post a piece of content? Okay, this is what I use during my strategic marketing plan VIP days. These are the exact same things we address, and it's what turns that scattered content into a predictable client journey. How would you like to have a predictable client journey and you're walking your prospects through a process, a phase, all phases based on your content, so that ultimately and naturally you become the person that they want to hire, that they want to buy from, okay? So again, 5 parts. Here's the high level idea. I'm gonna give you a high level overview. Every post you create should serve one of these 5 purposes. Every post. Okay. Now, you don't necessarily need to post more. You may just have to shift your posting and post with intention. Okay, you ready? Hope you have something to write with. Purpose number 1 is to build awareness. These are the posts that get you seen by the right people in the first place. People have to be aware of your existence. I'm sure you have heard that time and time again, and it's true. I'm not going to talk about top of the funnels and funnels. I'm not even going to get that jargony about it. Just build awareness. If people don't know who you are and what you do, then how are they going to buy from you? So think of this as the introduction. The awareness phase is the introduction. The waving, hi, hello, I'm here. How you doing? It could be your story, your values, a simple tip that shows your expertise. But awareness is the, hey, hello, I'm here. Okay. Now that next phase is all about building trust. You've heard the adage, know, like, and trust. It's a cliche because it's true. People have to trust what you say. They have to trust what you say you did. They have to trust you with their money. They're paying you. They have to trust you with their money. And they have to trust that you're going to deliver on the promise you said you would deliver on. Okay, so once people know you exist, now it's time to start showing them that you're what? That you're credible. Is your content showing your audience that you're credible? Think about that. Is it showing credibility, or is it just showing you're just some random person? This is where those testimonials, case studies, behind the scenes stories, the what I do all day. This is where that type of content resonates in the building trust phase. They got to get to know you. You know, for example, I'm sitting in my home office right now. I'm just like you. I'm a regular person. You know, I run a business. I'm sitting in my home office. I'm using StreamYard to do this live stream. It's about credibility. It's about credibility. This is what I was wearing today. I got on a t-shirt. It's a pretty fun t-shirt. It has like cassette tape because I'm that old and I thought it was cool. I'm regular, right? It's about what I do all day. Today, I worked on my notes for today's live stream. Showing people you're credible, showing people that you understand that you're relatable. You'd be surprised how significant this is, okay? So, number 3, in the intention, educate. Your purpose next is to educate. You say hi, hello, how you doing? They trust you. You are who you say you are. You're a human. I said you're a human. You're relatable, right? You're a human. They get your vernacular. They get your movements. They get your energy. You're human. The next thing to do is to educate them. You're credible. And you said hello. You've opened the door. Now you got to educate people. People love to learn, but specifically learn to solve a specific problem. If you help me solve a specific problem, you are worth your weight in gold, my friend. And so the education phase is built around helping people to solve a specific problem. Okay. It's not just a general overview, overarching high level view of everything. That's not education. That is pontificating. That is theorizing. No, educate people, help them solve a very specific problem that they have. Give actionable tips. Like me right now, this is the education phase. You are in the education phase of my 5-step process. What am I doing? I'm providing you a framework. I'm educating. I opened the door. I said hello, told you who I was. The credibility, just told you what I was doing today. Of course, you can always visit my website. You can check out my LinkedIn profile. I'm credible. I am who I say I am. Now we're in the education phase. I'm helping you to solve a specific problem that you have with posting and your content not converting to clients. You are actually a part of the very framework I'm teaching you. Okay. So education, show a framework. You want to teach, give actionable tips, but don't overwhelm. Keep it focused on a specific problem. And better yet, you know what you wanted to sell this quarter? Remember I said you need to think about what you want to sell? Think about the problems related to what you want to sell and how your solution is the product or service that you sell. So when you're reverse engineering from what you sell, What are the problems associated with that product or service being a solution? Figure out what you want to sell, and everything kind of flows through from there, right? Okay, so the next phase, we have build awareness, we have build trust, we're educating. What is the next phase? Invite people. See, a lot of y'all skip the first three phases and you go straight to invite. You go straight to invite. How you inviting people with a call to action and they don't know who you are, what you do, how you do it. They don't have a clue who you are. You brand new. Y'all just met and you inviting them to something. You're inviting them to pay you for something, inviting them to a call to action. I don't know you. You are not trustworthy. You are not credible. You're not getting my money if you have not gone through this process. So we are at the invite phase of purposeful, of intentional content. Is that a word? Did I just make up a word? I don't know. I might have. I'm good for making up words. Okay. But anyway, this is the soft call to action phase. Okay. So this is where you're inviting people to engage with you. Join your community, download a free resource, attend a live stream. Again, you're going through the process. It's not hard selling, but it is guiding them to closer to a purchase. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Finally, what's the fifth part of the framework? Convert them, sell them. These are the posts that lead directly to the sale. You cannot skip over awareness, trust, and education and go straight to invite and convert. That's why your content's falling flat. Now, this type of content, it can be case studies. It's those posts that lead directly to sales. It could be limited time offers. It could be personal success stories, that type of thing. That's what you are posting when you're in the convert phase. The stories that demonstrate the transformation that you provide, or the transformation that your service provides, or the solution to the problem. Your product solves the problem. Your product is the solution. That's what's in this fifth phase. And here's the key. Okay, here's the key. Do not just randomly sit there and write some posts okay, one day I'm going to post the invite. Next day I'm going to post build awareness. You see how that could be a problem, right? You don't randomly post across the 5 areas. You plan each of the content pieces strategically, and you balance each type of post over the 90 days of your strategic marketing plan so that every piece of content is moving somebody through the phases, moving someone along the path from stranger to client. Now, this is the framework. Of course, there are bits and pieces and details. We don't have time for all that, but this is the framework that we use when I'm working with clients on my VIP day, and when I'm working with my social media management clients. This is the type of content, and this is the exact framework we use to create the content. So think of this framework as a peek behind the curtain of exactly what I do and how I'm figuring out what content to post and when. Okay, so once you see how the content connects to your goals, everything clicks. It all clicks, right? So I'm going to review the content to client framework again. First intention is build awareness. Second intention, build trust. You're credible. You are who you say you are, and I can trust you'll deliver on the promise that you offer. Next phase is educate. Educate folks. The next phase is invite them. Invite them to something. And finally, the final phase is convert that stranger into a client, okay? Now, I got a little bit of time left. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to get into the part that changes everything. I want to give you a quick overview of building your 90-day plan, okay? If you're building your 90-day plan, these are 5? I like 5s. These are the 5 steps to building your 90-day plan. Now that you know what content to create and you got a framework for the content, now I'm going to tell you how to build your 90-day plan. You ready? Step 1, identify your 90-day business goal. Of course, you want to make more money and make more sales. That's not what I'm talking about. Your 90-day business goal. If it's sales, how many sales do you want to make? Okay. If you know how many sales you want to make, then you should know how many people you need to get in front of, how many calls you need to have in order to make that sale. If you're doing high ticket offers, if you are doing low ticket digital products, you know how many people you need to get in front of, you know how many people need to join your list, you know how many DMs you need to get, etc. So what is your 90-day business goal? Is it building awareness? You know, do not enough people know who you are? A lot of people call this the visibility crisis. Is it sales? Is it conversions? You need to look at everything you have now and figure out, okay, how to convert them. What is your 90-day business goal? Next thing you're going to do is choose 3 to 5 messaging pillars. Okay, these are the core themes, the ideas you want your audience to associate with you. Okay, you got to figure out your messaging pillars. Check out one of my earlier live streams. It's currently on YouTube under the live tab if you need to help with figuring out what your messaging pillars are. The next thing you're going to do, step 3, when you're building your 90-day marketing plan, you're going to map out 1 campaign per month. I'm saying it again. You're going to map out how many campaigns, boys and girls? 1 campaign per month. Stop thinking that you can do everything at the same time simultaneously. This is where everything goes wrong. Map out 1 campaign per month. Start aligning your content to your revenue. 1 campaign, 1 content stream, 1 offer. Hit your revenue goals. Map out 1 campaign per month. Stop posting randomly. Again, every post should have a purpose. Next thing you're going to do, step 4, is build content for the customer journey. Build content that takes people from that awareness all the way through that conversion and that content to client framework I just told you about. Okay. Step 4, building the content for that. And then finally, what is the last step? Track your engagement and leads. Not just likes. I'm going to say it again. Track your engagement and your leads, not just likes. We are not going for vanity metrics. We're going for making money, making a difference, keeping the lights on, running a business. Likes don't keep the lights on, people. Stop focusing on them freaking likes and hearts. Track your engagement and your leads, and you'll know what you need to change, what you need to shift. That is really the 5 steps to building your 90-day marketing plan using the 5-part content to client framework that I shared with you. Okay, so here's my challenge for you. It's real simple. You going to do it yourself or do you need help? You could do it yourself. I've given you the frameworks. I've told you what to do to build your 90-day marketing plan. And you can, we're in Q4, you can hit the ground running. Like tomorrow, using these frameworks. Sit, pen and paper, Google Doc or whatever, and figure this stuff out and hit the ground running. If you need my help, that's what I do inside the Strategic Marketing Plan VIP Day. This is literally what I help you with. We map out your next 90 days of marketing, the content, your campaigns, your client conversion plan. What are your business goals? How are we going to meet said business goals? If you're ready to stop guessing, if you're ready to start growing, this is your step. Book a VIP day. Of course, you're always more than welcome to visit me at marketingsparkler.com, or you can, of course, check the description here, and I'm more than happy to hop on the phone. Let's see if a VIP day is right for you.